Today I wanted to talk about myself. Today I wanted to talk about myself. I'm going to explain who I am, what my mission is, why I'm here, why I'm creating this, the whole purpose of my existence. The purpose of my existence. All right, I've written down a couple of things. I will explain more things. All right, so first I'll just explain a little bit about myself. I'm a child of the late 80s. Berlin Wall was destroyed the same year. And so I'm from that, generation. And I've always loved nature. I think nature was my first love. And I think philosophy, actually my artistic side was my second love. Well, it's always been, fused. I always loved to draw things. I have a latest painting. I will show it someday, but I'm gonna make another painting soon for my grandmother, I thought. And I have a lot of painting ideas and a lot of stuff like that as well. I think I want to put that in a different channel. So I'm gonna make other channels, but everything is connected, all right? All my art is connected with my philosophy and my science. As you can see, the science becomes, something in the background. If you've seen my lectures, then you will notice that. I still love, science. I will always love all of these things. So my three things in life are always art, philosophy, and science. All right. So, but I'm doing philosophy here because that is what is driving me right now. That is my obsession right now. I have all of these obsessions, but I'm not currently obsessed with science and art. It is more about health, and I've fused it with my philosophy. I'm trying to create something new here. So I was raised with, Orthodox Christianity. I come from, I was born and raised in Sweden. So I've always been, this cosmopolitan thing, creature. I always had Swedish friends and so forth. So I'm basically, Swedish, but in mentality, I was born with internet. I always had internet, basically. We had, Windows 3.11. I had, 64 megabyte RAM. I had, those better computers as they came along. I had all the Windows 95 Windows. I always was a PC guy. I always will be a PC guy. So if you the whole PC Mac thing. So I've always been, I always loved tech as well. I loved video games as a kid. I loved, but I was always drawn to the different stuff. So for example, I always had, instead of, when people bought, Super Nintendo, I bought later on, I bought the PlayStation. That was the new thing. And then I bought, or my parents obviously bought me. Then later, I didn't buy PlayStation 2. I wanted a new thing. So, the different thing. I always was attracted to the different, weird thing. Perhaps that is why I'm attracted to the weird people in philosophy as well, like Nietzsche and Albert Camus, the existentialists, they ask questions that the rationalists, I love the rationalists, even the, later one, like, for example, like Dawkins and all those people, Hitchens and so forth, but they never quite touched, except Sam Harris a little bit, but he never evolved it, and a little bit with Hitchens as well, because Hitchens was the same spirit in some sense, I believe. That's why I love Hitchens the most, because he was the same spirit. He loved Nietzsche as well. He was inspired by Nietzsche. And especially what Hitchens taught me most is that, all these people are apes. They're all apes. No one knows anything. Make your own decision, and don't be silent. Speak up, because life is, you know, one. It will end, the flame will end, all right? But I have my own voice. As you see, the flame. I am, you know, I like the artistic, I love words. I've written over 100 and I don't know how many poems, but I've written a lot of poems, and, you know, I like that stuff. And so I'm fusing, you know, my art and philosophy, the same way Nietzsche fuses art and philosophy. The thing is, though, when I write, it becomes much more poetical than when I just do these lectures. These lectures are more, you know, practical stuff. They're more practical. They're not as beautiful in my opinion, but what I want to capture in these videos, in all of my videos, is that once you watch them, I want them to grow within you. I want you to digest them. So I want to create this culture also. So in a sense, ignite your inner drive, your passion, your obsession. I want to ignite this inner flame in you, this salamander, the deepest instinct within you. But I also, you know, want to create a new culture of genius. You know, I call it the culture of genius, you know, the Renaissance, that spirit, you know, we have this curiosity, and we don't care about our own opinion. We just want to get to the truth, so to speak, you know. We don't care. We can go into another person's shoes. That is my best definition of genius. We want to get into another person's shoes, get in there, understand that worldview, get out of there, and make our own opinion, distance ourselves, even if it's a hero of ours, you know, all of that, you know, even Nietzsche, even Heraclitus, even Epicurus, even Hitchens, Dawkins, even Immanuel Kant. Well, I was never, you know, that deeply into Kant, but, or, you know, like Spinoza, I always was fascinated by Spinoza as well, Descartes, Albert Camus, all of these people. So that explains that, all right? So my philosophy here, you know, on this channel, well, right now on this channel, it comes from me, you know, the core and outwards. Everything I do is, you know, I apply everything I say. I do everything. I'm not just talking about this, I'm also doing it. So as you can see, my name is in here, and I move from my core and outwards, all right? And names are important in my opinion. And by the way, my name means unexpected. So yeah, my first name, my surname, I think my surname comes from Dimitri, which is Demeter, which is the Greek goddess. All right, I think it's the Greek goddess of harvest, I believe. All right, so in a sense, that makes perfect sense for me. So yeah. So I come from, you know, this generation of, you know, video games as well, you know, all the digital stuff. It's not like I'm unfamiliar with this stuff. It's not like I'm 100 years old here and don't understand, you know, Twitch. I understand, you know, all of these things. Call of Duty. I played the first Call of Duty. I played World of Warcraft. I played Lord of the Rings Online. I've played, you know, Sonic Adventures on Dreamcast. I had the Dreamcast. So yeah, the Dreamcast there, you know, you'll see that I'm moving back and forth from each and everything, because I don't care about structure here. I just want to give, you know, my story in, you know, a unique, you know, manner, you know. Perhaps it is a bit chaotic, but this will be a bit more artistic, expressive, all right? So it doesn't matter. The point is that I don't want to create, you know, a culture that we have now of fast-paced, you know, nonsense, you know. We want real stuff. We want the truth. We want the real. I want to develop a culture of patience. I don't want everyone here. I don't care for, you know, the masses. I care about the few who care about themselves, about intellectual things, but more importantly about themselves, because I'm creating a philosophy of health, meaning and purpose. The question of meaning and purpose has been with me since forever, and, you know, as I've said before, you know, I always was interested in science, in nature and stuff like that, and then I also had, you know, the spiritual, the religious, you know, that clash created, you know, the philosophy thing, where I always separated, you know, a nirvana thing, abstract thing in my head, and then nature. I had these, well, the abstract thing was here from your point of view, and the nature was here. And you know, nature green and this yellow. And you see, I always had these visualizations. I always have visualizations. Every time you see me speak here, I always visualize something. Always, always, always. I can't turn it off. That's the way I am, and that's the way it's going to be. So all of this stuff you see, you know, all the, you know, sinuses and cosinuses and, you know, all that stuff is, you know, from my mind, and the colors are important, names are important, all the names have colors, everything, you know, everything is associated, everything goes and is connected to everything, in my opinion. Because we are from the universe, we're within the universe, we can't separate ourselves from the universe, from, you know, environment. So I know that scientists, you know, they try to separate things, but technically in reality, and they all know this, it's all, you know, within itself, you know, like space-time. You can't separate space and time, it is the same. So yeah, I want to create, especially here, I want to create the best tools for a healthier life, because in my philosophies comes from health, it comes from core and outwards, all right? It comes from the individual, and then moves outwards. And it's about motion, life, physics also motion. I also love art that is in motion. For example, movies. I love slow-paced movies, but I always love the moving camera, for example. All of my stuff is connected, all right? It is the same way with everything. The same with poems. Every poem I've written comes from the meaning of life, all right? Everything I do here comes from the meaning of life, and I try to answer the most, you know, burning questions humanity has within itself, and then I answer it, and then, you know, we work with it. We don't avoid it like most people do. Most people don't want to talk about this stuff. Perhaps it's changing. I don't know if it's changing, but it doesn't matter, because even if it's changing, a lot of people don't understand any of this. We gotta understand that we have tools, every problem has a solution. We gotta solve this stuff, all right? Despair, depression. I've written down things that I've healed through my philosophy here, all right? So my mission is to heal people, but not just heal people. I wanna help people, but not just help people. I wanna, as I say here, igniting people, the inner drive, create a new culture of genius, and also, you know, heal people and help people. Not heal people, in some sense, it is about giving people a guidance. That is why it's a guide, a philosopher's guide to a better life. But it's not better, it is just a different desire, a higher desire, as I call it. And also, obviously, about joy, always about joy in the process. I have other principles that I've worked with, you know, that always are in the background. All the principles in life are in the background, and there is no such thing as life as super organized. We're organisms, all right, not organized, and we are, you know, we have guiding principles. Each and every person is an individual, and that's why you can't have a rigid system for everyone. Because I'm against dogma, all right? I'm always and always will be against dogma. Principle of change lies behind everything. Change is always happening, all right? The universe, with humans, with everything. Within us, without us, all the time, all right? Every video, every poem, I want you to digest it, all right? Every video I make, every artistic thing, everything I create, I want this to ignite the inner drive, but this drive, it can take time to ignite this. So one video should do it. It should, you know, it might take time for you to digest it, but after a month, you still have my video within you, so to speak, all right? That is the purpose here. The same way with, you know, my poetic ideas and paintings and everything else. My videos, everything I record, everything I create. All right? So I have, future ideas that will be, incredible. But we work slowly, gradually. Everything that is great takes time. The same with the universe, the same with people. Everything that is great takes time. A philosophy doesn't just appear. You evolve it, you develop it. You will see my philosophy develop and evolve. If it hasn't evolved in 1 year, something is definitely wrong, and it will evolve. It will change. Now, it is gradual. It won't just immediately change. The same way science cannot just immediately change. It takes some time. It takes a couple of, revolutions, and it takes a couple of contrarians, and we need those contrarians, all right? And I believe I'm one of those contrarians, or I try to, go against the mainstream beliefs, all right? Always, not just for the sake of it, for the sake of for the sake of, discovering the new, for the sake of discovering a new understanding of ourselves, all right? That is the, purpose. That is one of the purposes. There are many purposes. Or you can express the purpose in a different way. Perhaps it's one purpose, the meaning of life, but it is, you look at it differently, all right? So my philosophy comes from health. I don't believe anyone else has, discussed philosophy from the point of health this way. There are thinkers, but it's not the same thing, It's not the same thing. Aristotle, they all talked about, well-being and a good life, but none of them created a guide. I want to create a guide, and a guide that, heightens you further and further and further. So I'm both the catalyst, but I'm also, it should always, keep you moving, And it always, changes because you change. It will change. I will improve it because I change, and so forth. I don't care I'm not nostalgic anymore. I can delete my old self, and I create a new self. This is who I want to be, and I will be this. But you gotta change your behaviors. You gotta change yourself physically, not just in thoughts. Most people are in their own heads, all right? But you gotta move out of your head, and you are always in your core, of course, but you gotta, move from a core and outwards, and improve yourself physically, step by step, with diet, with sleep, with everything. So we can move into that. I've healed depression, despair as I call it, because it's deeper, it's the abyss, all of that stuff, all those awareness things you notice when you're in that. And I keep it at bay all the time because I use my philosophy, because I create, because I do things. I don't just ruminate all day. I don't have time to ruminate. I only have time for my purpose. I only have time to extend my philosophy, So, so I don't have time for this stuff. I don't have the time for this stuff. But it didn't start like that. It started with this, and then, well, it didn't actually start with this. As a kid, let's go back to myself here. As a kid, I was always happy. Obviously there are always downs, but never, the ups were always bigger than the downs, So in some sense that's in imbalance, and perhaps that is why I went in deep into myself, into like 5 years or something like that, 6 years, and into despair. And that too is gradual and slow, and you start to talk about death more and more and more, you start to ruminate more and more, and eventually you look stuff up, how to kill yourself, and all that stuff. Yes, oh, I forgot to put here suicidal thoughts as well. I've healed all of this stuff. Angst, anxiety, constant nostalgia, all right? You always, go back to your old self. Who was I? Who am I now? I'm just terrible now. The new me right now is just terrible. All of that stuff. And you compare yourself in the current with your past. Your past seemed lighter. It seems like light. It seemed like you had all this energy. You can go back to that energy, all right? You can go back to that. I'm not saying that you should go back in time. That is impossible. But we are about reviving things here. You see? Create a new culture of genius. Ignite people's inner drive. That is the spirit there, you know. We ignite this old spirit. It is not going back in time. I don't wish to go back in the Renaissance or the ancient Greek cultures, the great cultures. I don't wish to do that. I wish here in the now, in the future, we create a new spirit like that, all right? In the same spirit, so to speak. I hope people understand what I'm saying here. I'm not speaking of a spirit that is metaphysical. I'm speaking of a will to create things that excel humanity further and further and further, courageously, without, you know, questioning the core. You know, we don't keep ruminating. Of course, there is some wisdom in here, inner wisdom as I call it, but this wisdom I'm creating now is much healthier, okay? It's much healthier, and not only that, it will create, you know, I believe, like Leonardo da Vinci, he wasn't in deep despair all the time. He had this, you know, this is the spirit he had. So this is a different way to reach the same thing, deep inner wisdom, but we don't just go within ourselves, we create outwards, all right? So that's part of it as well, all right? We can do it like this. Well, it is health, all right, so core. And so yeah, I got rid of all this stuff, hypochondria. I just, you know, I even had these, you know, spiritual experiences. I could feel my consciousness getting pulled out of my brain, stuff like that. I have a lot of, I'll mention these, you know, every now and then, but I had shallow breath. This can return, by the way, if you don't keep things at bay. That's why meditation is super important. Meditation is very, very important. So you keep these things at bay. You keep the, you know, inner demons at bay. All right. You don't ruminate. You don't listen to depressive music. You don't just read depressing stuff all the time. You can do it sometimes, but once you mature and you're stable and ready and stable enough, so you don't ruin your first foundation, your health, then you can go back a little bit, but not the first year. I recommend that if you're deeply despaired, I recommend you to just, you know, it depends on who you are, but I just recommend you to not, you know, for 1 year, you just work on yourself and focus only on yourself. Better diet, better sleep, better exercise, all of that stuff first. Fix yourself first, and then you've removed all of this stuff. This will be removed. I promise you that much. This will get destroyed, all right? This cannot exist anymore, all right? This cannot exist anymore. That is my mission, all right? That is my mission. I want to help people. I want to guide people, technically. I'm holding your hand and you're taking the steps. I cannot take the steps for you. We are separate. We're not unified consciousness. We're not unified anything. We're unified in our universal characteristics, but we're not unified literally. I'm not in your brain, you're in your brain, I'm in my brain. The brains are similar. The same way you have two atoms, they're not in themselves, they're separate, all right? That's why we say two atoms, all right? We can't deny reality. Let's not deny reality. My gut is my gut, your gut is your gut. Your heart is your heart, my heart is my heart, all right? They're both hearts, they're both brains, but it's not like we make everything magical. We take everything from the human perspective and we want it to be super special. It's not about being special, all right? It's about being individualistic. So in some sense, you are special because you're the only one with your DNA, but let's not, you know, be too, you gotta understand your limitations as well. I don't like fake humbleness or fake humility, but I also don't like arrogance either. And that is the epitome of human arrogance, all right? Thinking that we are God, or, you know, we are this, not just God, well, thinking that we are super special and that a God created us. That is arrogance, in my opinion. Instead, the universe created us, and we are here, we are in this sandbox, and it's up to us to create something. that is the reality. All right, we're in this sandbox. You have all these tools. Create something, become a creator, become your own god. And I'm not saying that if you are great, you should think you are great, but you should also understand your limitations. Otherwise, the Dunning-Kruger effect kicks in. All right. So, but the Dunning-Kruger effect all the time. You can always point to that stuff. Don't do that. All these fallacies, all this stuff. Don't worry too much about that stuff. It is not about that. It's about expanding your mind. It's about expanding your horizons. Read the contrarians. Read the people who go against the mainstream, against the establishment. You also get the establishment. You get both. Take both, create your own. Take both, create your own. You're the third. You're the third way. There is the mainstream, there are the contrarians, and then there is you. Mainstream, contrarians, you. Your own individual river. So yeah, you are special. I had knee pain. Well, I had allergies. These have reduced tremendously. A lot of these things are with diet. Allergies, mostly with diet, fasting. Depression, despair, angst, all this stuff is more taking action, exercise and diet as well, but exercise, both. You can't do just one thing, all right? There is no one cure for everything. You got to do multiple stuff. That's why it is a philosophy, multiple stuff. Knee pain, mood swings. I never have these mood swings anymore. And in the beginning, they will come back a little bit, like it will extend. You will just delay the mood swing. It will be like 1 month. Oh, now it took like 2 weeks before my mood swing, and 2 months and 3 months, and eventually you don't have mood swings. You just, push it forward. Being lethargic, that's gone. I have super energy always. You can't always be at the heights, but still, compared to your old self, it is always heights compared to your old self. We only compare ourselves to our own shadow, all right? Our own shadow. Then we have my old shoulder injury that I healed with dry fasting. Dry fasting, I could feel this radiating feel. As I say, I always see, visualizations. I could almost see, the redness, whiteness, and it just heals, almost like in a game or something. And it's healing, and now it's gone. I do calisthenics all the time, pull-ups all the time. I never feel it. It might come back if I do some dumbbells, it is unnatural to do all these, heavy lifting stuff. We're not made to do. That's why I always speak of calisthenics first, because there is much, much lesser chance of injury. And so I'm all about injury because, health, all right? Because of health. So no injury, and because of health, all this stuff as well. Knee pain, you're in your mid-20s and you have knee pain and you're going, something is deeply wrong here. I gotta change. I don't want to be like this. So there is this, in the beginning, there was this sense of, I'm sick of myself. I'm just sick of myself. So you're going to go from, I'm sick of myself and my current state, my old self, and then you're going to change yourself towards your new self, a better self, your higher desire. This is a lower desire, all these garbage foods and never training and always, procrastinating. And then that's the lower desire. And then you move to your higher desire, active, training, nice physical body, capable, resilient, strong, energized, full of purpose, full of light, full of, hope. and so you move, towards your new self, you change, you always have to change, you take the steps, all of these words, you move towards all of that, all right? And so you will remove all this stuff, and it is gradual. You can't expect anything to just happen like this. It depends on who you are, of course. Now, obviously, everyone is like, in different states. Perhaps you're here, but then you want to go here. You always want to go exponentially upwards. Always. That is how humans work. We are greedy. Our greed is not bad. We just have to channel our greed in the best manner. The same with anger, the same with every emotion. We don't, not like Stoicism, we don't deny any part of our humanity. No part of humanity. We don't deny anything. Because that is intellectual suicide, in my opinion, the same way Albert Camus spoke of, faith as the philosophical suicide. Well, this is intellectual suicide. If you can never be a genius, in my opinion, if you can never walk in other people's shoes and understand their worldview. That is super important because it is important to you as well, so you understand yourself. All right? Got rid of knee pain. So yeah, you go from sick of yourself and to loving yourself. All right? I love myself now. I love my days. I love the way I meditate, eat, sleep, work, all of this stuff, all my habits. You become a life, all the patterns of life. You are the patterns of life. And you just love them more and more. You go from sick of yourself to loving yourself. You see? Joy in the process. You gotta have the joy in the process. Obtrusive thoughts as well. You just move towards them. You hit them. You put your awareness on them. Whatever is your fear, you face that fear head on. That is the solution there. All right? But of course, there is a lot of stuff here as well. So, each of these, you can go deeper and deeper within them and so forth. Shallow breath with meditation, flashes of light and stuff like that, glimmering of light and stuff like that. That is mainly by inflammatory foods like potatoes and rice and bread and so forth. So I cut out bread. Bread is the first thing I cut out. I've had rice, potatoes, but occasionally. I try to stay away from it. But it depends on what my higher desire is. Sometimes, you have multiple higher desires. You want to be healthy, but you also want to be, bigger perhaps or something like that. So don't sacrifice your health, you don't sacrifice your health. You just find the right counterbalance to get stronger and bigger muscles, but also eating properly without inflammation and all that stuff. All right, so that is me. That is what I want to do here. That is my purpose of existence. That is my life. Perhaps I didn't explain enough about myself, but it's that I don't like to talk about myself that much because philosophy is what I'm passionate about. I talk about stuff that I'm passionate about. But in some sense, of course, I am passionate about myself because I focus on myself a lot, improvements and stuff like that. But the stuff I talk about is that, so diet and so forth, the paleo diet. I started with paleo diet, so I understood, I started with training calisthenics years ago, and then I injured my shoulder, and then I went into deeper depression. But it wasn't just because of the shoulder injury. It got healed by itself, but not properly, as I understood later. So when I discovered fasting not long ago, and so you see, I went back to calisthenics. I understood that I liked calisthenics already. So after these years of depression, but also through listening to Bach and not just Bach, but depressing 60s music and reading only depressing stuff. Dostoevsky is quite depressing. Reading all of this stuff and just keep ruminating about death and what is existence. But thankfully I did that as well because I had these thoughts about existence and non-existence, and you've seen that in one of my lectures. But one lecture I will perhaps just explain that thoroughly so you understand where I came from there. But so yeah, reading, I love Dostoevsky. I still love these, I still love Bach and I still love that music, but I don't listen to it all the time. I listen to some Beethoven every now and then, and I don't like, I have a certain taste. I don't care I don't care for modern day music. I don't get ignited by it. I don't get goosebumps by it. I don't get anything from it. It doesn't give me anything, except if it has some, you know, real, if it comes from the heart, if that art comes from the heart, if the art comes from the heart, then it's real, it is true, it rings true. Then I can, you know, my own spirit, soul, whatever you want to call it, myself, I can capture it and I can digest it from my perspective. So, but we have all these, you know, different, and in movies, I've seen a lot of movies. I used to watch a lot of movies, and you know, I used to watch a billion TV shows as well. Well, when I was younger, when I started with, you know, going deeper into meaning of life as well. But I was still, you know, happy and stuff like that. So I still had, you know, all these friends and happiness and all that stuff. But I always knew it will end. And in some sense, I almost created it myself, ending it myself. But it was necessary, because if I didn't do all that stuff, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here without all that baggage behind me. I wouldn't be here creating this. I wouldn't be here willing to stand in front here and have this infinite energy and purpose and, you know, clearness and purpose, and also creating new stuff. I always had, you know, a will to create a philosophy, but I wasn't ever clear on my path and purpose and goal and direction, especially because, you know, I want to create this ethics book like Spinoza. I just want to create this ethics book that goes through everything. I want to create a book that goes through all the arguments for God and, you know, ideas like that. And today I understand that that is just, you know, unnecessary. It's already been done as well. We gotta look for, you know, new stuff, delve into, you know, the gaps in our lives, all right? That's why sometimes I just wanna buy a book. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna buy some book about flowers or something like that. Just, you know, fill in those gaps you have. You know you have all these knowledge gaps, and it's pretty interesting to just fill them up. So in some sense, you know, the curiosity there. But the thing is, you gotta have a purpose behind that. So for example, I wasn't interested in getting into nutrition until I cared about my health, you know. So nutrition becomes the obsession later, because you gotta have a deeper purpose for looking for nutrition. Otherwise, you won't be interested ever in nutrition. You won't be. Or if you're interested in, you know, results, it depends on how ambitious you are, where you are in life. It depends on who you are, where you are in life, all that stuff. So yeah, I want to guide people, help people, both, you know, in real, you know, real life and through a medium. You see, I'm doing my third purpose principle, as you can see in my purpose meaning of life lecture. I'm doing this in the third, you know, the advanced way. I'm helping, you know, the seeds out there, golden seeds that might, you know, their potentials. But I also want to help, you know, those who are somewhere but want to get pushed further and further and further. All right, so I have all these different people I want to guide, and so it's not all the same, because we're not all the same. All right, we're individuals. All right, I'm always for the individual and never for the dangerous masses mentality, the groupthink. That is one of the worst things that exists. As we've seen in history, this mass groupthink is dangerous. But let's not delve into politics. I will perhaps make a video about why, you know, politics and all this other stuff is so unnecessary and wasting your life away. Watching all these movies and, you know, all these TV shows. I've watched this, have you watched this TV show? Have you watched this? I don't have time for all these TV shows. I'm creating stuff. I don't have time for any of this, all right? And you shouldn't either, especially the greats. You have this inner potential in you. You have something great within you. All these people understand, they always had this understanding within themselves. All great people had this inner feeling that they have something they want to give to the world, that just brewing, but it's not clear yet, but it will be clear once you start working on yourself. The sooner you do it, the better, the more genius you will be, the more you can accelerate, you can create something that the history has never seen. All right? So that is, that is essentially my purpose. All right? That is the purpose of my existence. So yeah, so I come from here, the northern parts of Europe, Sweden, but I don't care, with the internet, I was always connected to everything, everyone, I always loved these forums, IRC chats. So, I've always felt global and yet individualist. It is global. I can see the global, but I can also see the one. It is both, all right? The same way we're egotistical, but we're also altruistic. We're both. It's not just one thing. It's not just one thing. Human nature is not one thing, all right? It's not one thing. Or we can reduce it to instincts and one thing and core, but it is not just one thing, emotion, thoughts. We advanced to think as well, but also having emotion, all of these things, all right? So, and feeling pain and misery, but also happiness and heights and, hope and light, all right? So don't be a pessimist, stop ruminating. We don't need more pessimism, we need more beauty, we need more truth, we need more all of that stuff. We need more greatness. We need more of you. We need more people like that. I don't want one Thus Spoke Zarathustra. I want a billion Zarathustras. All right? Well, you can't have billion, but I want to have, many, many, many of them. And I know that many of you are out there. I just want to excel you. All right? That is my purpose. I want to excel you. Well, my purpose is also excelling myself. So it's both, all right? It is both. It is both. All right, so one day I will explain all of the alignments and, perhaps going deeper into that. Well, perhaps in the near future, but I will also make an importance of art video. I want to make that perhaps tomorrow. We'll see. Every video, I don't plan these out, this is immediate. I've just ruminated, digested it yesterday, and now I'm, putting it out there. So yeah, so that is me, that is who I am, and perhaps there is more, but, I had a great childhood, then it got terrible, but now it's great again. But it's great in a different way, right? And you can find different friends. I have different friends now. You find all of these new people, all this new experience and new excitement. Don't ruminate on the past and your old friends and, things like that. I want to talk about things you care about, all right? Well, of course, if you're young, I understand that deeply. When you're young, this is what you're thinking about. If you are young, you like my stuff, keep on listening. And, you need my guidance, email, or, if you're highly ambitious, email me or go to Facebook and, you can add me there, you can message me there as well. And, we can talk there. And, but I'm not, it's not like, I'm using social media to reach to people. Otherwise, if I didn't have to, I would just skip it, of course. But I'm only using it for, myself, my business, my life, my work. So I don't read anything except, whatever matters. So, and my work matters, all right? That is the number one thing here. So, to me, and you have your work. So yeah, childhood great, then some downwards, and now upwards again, and you will perhaps have downwards again, and upwards again, and you constantly reinvent yourself. But I'm going to try to reach the highest of highest heights, and without ever trying to go back to the inner wisdom again, because I've already seen its corners, its walls. I've already seen its walls. Perhaps it has different walls, but that is for someone else. Right now, this is my obsession. All right, so keep on working on yourself, keep on focusing only on yourself, especially if you're young. Focus on yourself, better yourself, health. Your health is the most important in your life. Everything else is secondary. Keep on working on yourself and everything will be great. Everything is great. Everything is fine. And I will see you people tomorrow.